Let's see. Whoa. What is going on in here? Hank?
Hey, what? Huh?
What has happened to the JAT studio?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
It's a mess. If people could, well, they can't see it, but if they could see, it's a mess. What do you got? Food? What is that? Pizza? On my Ratchet and Clank statue?
Well, Clank wanted some pizza.
No, don't. No, okay, all right, come on.
Clanky wanted some pizza there.
How could? First off, it's a statue.
Yeah, but
And you got a pepperoni on his head.
I thought it was cute.
Okay, stop that. And Obi-Wan, what? You put like bunny ears and an arrow through the head on Obi-Wan.
Well, you're a Steve Martin fan.
Yeah?
So I thought that,
Okay, yeah, I am a Steve Martin fan. And Steve Martin wore an arrow through his head and the bunny ears and all that. Fine, but, Obi-Wan looks kind of silly there with that on there. And what? Why are there wires coming out of Titus, my Titus action figure?
Yeah, but push on his chest there.
What did you do to him?
Push on the chest. Do it.
Okay, push on the chest. What's going to happen? What?
See, now he laughs. When you push on the button, he laughs.
Yeah, that's funny, and people are going to want that now. That's clever. So you actually do know how to wire some things up, just nothing that I want.
What? That's a laughing Titus action figure now. People are going to want. You tell me people aren't going to want that?
No, I'm telling you people will want that. The fact that they don't have one is amazing, but I have one now, thanks to you.
I thought you'd be happy.
Look, no, it's nice. I mean, you cut into it. That was a limited edition action figure, and now you've cut into it and put... And why are the wires sticking out?
Well, there wasn't enough room.
Okay, all right.
Come on, hit it again.
I don't want to hit it again.
You kind of want to hit the button again, don't you?
All right, whatever. I'll hit the button again. It's not working. Oh, there it is. You got like Yuna laughing in the background there too. I said, okay, whatever. Anyways, all right, that's very clever. That's funny, Hank. All right. And why does everything smell like onions?
Really? You gotta ask?
Yeah, onion sandwich. Okay. I leave and go to Star Wars Celebration for a little while, and this is what happens to the JAT studio.
Well, I was recording my podcast.
And okay, yeah, the Hank cast?
Yeah, talking to me self.
Talking to me? Talking to me self? I be talking to me self. What are you, a pirate now?
Yeah, I should do like a pirate one. Argy bargy.
Argy bargy? That's not what pirates say. Arg.
Argy bargy.
Okay. You actually have kind of a piratey voice, though. I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but anyways, you got to clean this up because I have an episode now. See, here's the thing, Hank.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be back yesterday. Well, no, I mean the day before yesterday. I was supposed to be back Sunday.
Yeah.
So today is April 16th. It's Tuesday. The podcast comes out tomorrow, April 17th.
Yeah, it comes out on the Wednesdays. But now you switched to every other Wednesday through the next couple months while you make your movies and stuff.
Hank!
What?
Stop that.
Well, it was just onion sandwich.
Would you? Yes, I am. We are going to an every other, for those of you that don't know, although I mentioned it on the last podcast, for the next couple of months, the JATcast will be every other week. And my apologies. I know so many of you love it and listen to it every week. And we will get back to a weekly thing. But for now, it's going to be a every other week thing while I make this film that I'm making. And also, summertime and stuff and getting some time with my family and everything. But I'm going to try to get ahead as much as I can. But for now, see, here's the deal, Hank, before you burped and everything. I was supposed to come home Sunday, and Chicago, I was in. So, okay, let me back up completely to the beginning. Everybody, hello. Welcome to the James Arnold Taylor podcast. I just walked in after being gone for almost a week, and my studio is a mess because Hank, the engineer, the show's engineer.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's you.
Hello.
Okay, you're pushing it now, buddy. our engineer has made a mess of my studio while I was gone. Why did my wife and daughter let you in?
Well, I told them that I had some wiring and stuff to do.
So you lied to them?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, I did. I rewired some things, though.
What did you rewire?
Well, I took the headphones there.
Yeah.
And I plugged it into the other headphone jack.
Because there's 2 headphone jacks. There's 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And you put headphone jack 1 into 2?
Yeah.
You're laughing.
Yeah.
Because, so that was your rewiring you did of the studio?
Yeah, the rewire. That way I'm not lying to anybody.
Okay. Yeah. And they just let you come in and just do all this?
Yeah, you know your daughter Lydia's...
Lydia. Not Lydia's. There's not 2 of her.
Yeah, she thinks I'm funny. And she comes in and she says, hello, 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 hello.
That's you doing Lydia's voice?
Well, yeah, she got a little hello, 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 hello. I can't get that. My voice doesn't go down that high.
It doesn't go down that high?
Yeah.
You mean up that high?
What'd I say?
Down.
No, it goes up. What are you talking about?
Okay. All right. Anyways, I'm trying to explain to everybody. I was in Chicago for Star Wars Celebration, which is the big Star Wars convention that usually happens every other year, but now I guess, and they've made so big announcements. I guess they've made an announcement. It's going to be back in Anaheim in 2020, which is nice because if I get invited, which I hope I do, I hope I get invited in Anaheim. That's just down the road for me. That's not a big deal. In fact, my family is in Anaheim right now. My wife and my daughter are at Disneyland today.
Yeah, that's.
And so what, you've been just like sleeping in here too, by the way? Because you were just like passed out on the floor from too many onion sandwiches is what it looked like.
Well, no, I was watching your YouTube stuff and all, and then I kind of fell asleep in here.
All right.
There's a comfortable chair.
Okay, thank you. Anyways.
So you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
How was it?
Well, it was fine, but so let me explain. We're like, 6 minutes into the show. I haven't explained anything. Okay, so I get back. I was supposed to be back Sunday, but Chicago had a blizzard. It was like Groundhog Day. I thought I was going to wake up to the blizzard and have to relive. Although, if you got to relive a day, reliving Star Wars Celebration, that wouldn't be bad, right? Anyways, especially Sunday, because Sunday was the big Clone Wars day. But so there was a blizzard and everybody's flights got canceled. And so they said I wasn't going to fly out of there till Tuesday, which is today. But the wonderful folks at Topps, Mark Von Olen and his staff, and Alyssa Miller did an amazing job. Alyssa was the one that, corralled all of us celebrity guests and got us into cars and took us back and forth and did all of that and got us into our hotel rooms and scheduled everything. And Mark Von Olen, who over there at Topps, who just does a fantastic job. He and his staff, his crew, they all were just amazing. And I thank them all so much from the bottom of my heart. Any of you looking for autographs of Obi-Wan Kenobi, go to Topps. And, that's the place. That's the one and only place you can get my autograph. And there you go. But we had a great time. And so they arranged, Alyssa worked, I'm telling you, into the wee hours of the night. It was after 1 o'clock in the morning where her and I were talking still on Sunday. And she ended up getting me a flight out Monday in the afternoon on a different airline than I normally fly and all of that. And they took care of me and they got me in there and on a flight and back home. It was kind of amazing. And everybody was having trouble because of the big weather thing. And the crazy part about the weather was the next day after the blizzard, it was sunny and everything was melted and stuff. That was only, by the way, here's a JAT fun fact. Oh, we should have an announcer for that. Hey, let's bring in Mr. Announcer Guy's other older brother, not Charlton and not Jake the Announcer Guy and not George the Announcer Guy. But I think we had like old school film projector announcer guy at one point too, but this will be more of the Phil Hartman-y kind of announcer guy. We'll call him Phil. Let's bring him in. Hey, Phil. Hello, James. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. I'm doing an announcer voice when I talk to you. Hey, can you do the little It's a JAT fun fact?
Of course I can. Now, it's a JAT fun fact. Fun fact.
Thank you.
You got it, James. I'm going to go now.
They all say that. Okay, so JAT fun fact. What was I going to say? I don't remember. What was my JAT fun fact? Oh, here it is. The JAT fun fact is, I was in this blizzard. That was only the third time in my life I've been in snow. Yep. I've only been in the snow, and the other 2 times I was in the snow were within the same week, and they were 5 years ago, back in 2015. 2015? Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago then? Was that? Yeah, it was 4-ish years ago. Yeah, actually, it was 4 years ago. Yeah, because it was when I got the last time I got a cold. It was 4 years ago. Sorry. And I went to New York, and it snowed, and I walked through Central Park at night alone in the snow, and it was wonderful and quiet. Then the next week, I went and got on a plane and flew to Colorado, and I went to a Ransomed Heart. I've talked about John Eldridge. And I had Alan Arnold on my show here. My dear friend Alan Arnold, and he helped actually arrange to get me over to the boot camp they do, the Wild at Heart boot camps with John Eldridge, and I went to Colorado, and I did that. I was there with a bunch of, so it's a they call it a boot camp. It's essentially it's a Christian retreat, and it was me and I don't know how many hundreds of other men, several hundred men, all up in these beautiful hills, the mountains of Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. Snow and everything, talking about how to be better men, better fathers, better husbands, better friends, and all of that. And it was very cool. And then I got home and got incredibly sick. I was actually, and my flight was delayed. I was held over in San Francisco for the night, and I think that's what actually did it. I think that's when I caught a cold, because it was just like one too many days, and I was totally unprepared because my bags were checked and I had no clothes with me, and I was like, it was terrible. And there was no food and all that. That was when I was leaving Colorado, and they flew me into San Francisco and held me overnight in San Francisco, and it was a mess. But anyways, weather happens. You can't blame the airlines for that. They do their best. And so that's what happened here on Sunday. Way off on a tangent. Hey, Mr. Announcer Guy Phil.
Yes, James.
Say, it's a JAT tangent.
It's a JAT tangent.
Thank you.
You got it.
Okay. You know what? I should call him Joe, because he sounds more like my friend Joe Cipriano. Hey, Phil.
Yeah, James.
I'm going to call you Joe instead, okay?
Okay, James. That sounds great. I'll be Joe now. I'm going to Joe now.
I got it. I got what you did there. Okay. So I got snowed in and all that, and then got home yesterday. So I'm home a day later, and it kind of throws everything off. It's a long way around to say, 13 minutes into the show, that I'm now a day off. The podcast comes out tomorrow, and you're getting it here. So I need to do it all now. So what will I do on today's podcast? Well, I'll recap my time at Star Wars Celebration. I'll tell you some stories and take you behind the scenes of my time there. And we'll take some of your emails with, hey, Bob. Oh, yes, James. Yes. Oh, no, Bob. I was just saying, later on in the show, you'll come in and we'll do the emails.
Oh, I thought you were calling me.
No, not right now. You go back out and have a good time, okay?
Okay, James. I'm going to go now.
You're trying to be like the announcer guy.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. Oh, bye-bye.
All right. So I don't know if you can hear. I'm hearing my voice. Boy, my voice does not sound. I sound like, the other characters that come in, but I don't sound like me. My voice is a little thrashy. That's what happens traveling and everything and talking for days on end. But that's what I do. That's why the show is called Talking to Myself. And let's bring in Mr. Announcer Guy, the first, the last, the best announcer guy on the show, Mr. Announcer Guy. Hey, Mr. Announcer Guy!
Yes, James. Welcome back from Star Wars Celebration, James.
Thank you, Mr. Announcer Guy. What'd you do?
Can I let you in on a little secret?
Yeah, sure.
I was there too.
You were?
Yes, I was walking around in a General Grievous outfit.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't see you.
Oh, you didn't, did you?
You mean I did?
Maybe. Did you have anyone say you're a bold one?
Yeah, about 10,000 people.
Oh, well, I was one of them.
Really?
Yeah, I saw you.
Okay. So you enjoyed Star Wars Celebration too, then?
Yes, I did, James.
All right. Well, shall we introduce the show?
Why not? Give me some music, Mr. Music Guy.
No, you mean Jerry, the Music Man.
Jerry the Music Man.
You got it, Mr. Announcer Guy.
Welcome to James Arnold Taylor's Talking to Myself, the JATcast. Here he is, back from Chicago and Star Wars Celebration, ready to ramble on and on tangents and stories about things that relate to it and don't.
Ha, yeah, okay.
James Arnold Taylor!
Thank you, Mr. Announcer Guy.
You got it, James. I'm going to go now.
Okay. Well, welcome to Talking to Myself. Hank, are you going to go now? You should go now. You should brush your teeth.
Yeah, I'm gonna go now, brush my teeth, and then go eat another onion sandwich.
Okay, that kind of defeats the purpose, Hank. All right, he's gone. Well, here's the thing I really want to say to all of you that are listening to this podcast that came up to me and said, I love the James Arnold Taylor podcast. Thank you. I mean, I would actually guess over 100 people. Over 100 people came up to me throughout, easily over 100 people, and commented on the JATcast and told me stories of how you all like this show and you listen to it and how grateful you are for it, and did little voices for me. And then so some of you, said, like, when you were leaving the table, I'm going to go now. And I said, okay, see ya. That's fun. That was fun. You know who you are. And people telling me stories and just being so grateful. So for those of you that don't know, I was at Star Wars Celebration signing autographs, and then we did pictures and stuff too. And they brought in myself as well as some of my other castmates. So we had Matt Lanter, Catherine Tabor, Ashley Eckstein, D. Bradley Baker, Matthew Wood, Sam Witwer, Tom Kane, all of us there. I wish we had Nika Futterman, Corey Burton, Jim Cummings, Phil Lamar, and others, T.C. Carson. I wish we had everybody there, but we had a good group of us there. We sure did. And, excuse me, I'm going to be a little hazy here today. So Topps brought me in to sign autographs, and my first day of signing was Thursday, the first day of the convention. And I had a line for 4 hours. We kept it going. No breaks. We just went through. So all of you that were there, any of you listening to this that were in that line the first day on Thursday, thank you so much. You were all wonderful. And the next days after that, I had many people for, I don't even know how many hundreds and hundreds of autographs I've signed. I have no idea. And how many hundreds and hundreds of pictures were taken and photos and such. And then many of you, many of you were in line for other people. And their lines were long, and I felt bad, so I had no lines, so I would go through the lines and talk to you all, so maybe I talked to you there. But Star Wars Celebration is a wonderful place for Star Wars fans to gather, and this particular one had a really, there was a sweet, gentle, loving kindness to everybody there at this Star Wars Celebration. I've been to many. I've been going to Star Wars Celebration since Star Wars Celebration 3, and that was back in Anaheim. Yeah. And I've been going for a long time, and this one was great, and I've hosted many of them. Of course, most of you know that already. And so, is it hard for me to go as somebody that was a host before and not hosting now? Well, my dear friend Warwick Davis did a tremendous job, as always, hosting the main stage. He did a great job, so that was great. That was fun. It was fun to see him. It was wonderful to see his family. I love his family. And that was a great time. It was also great to see all my friends that run that stage and talk to them and everything too. I barely got to see any of them though. And we had a big Clone Wars panel on Sunday where they showed some clips in the trailer, and they brought us all out. They brought most of us out at the end. It was really a trailer for Ashley, a panel for Ashley and Sam and Dee, and with Dave and Warwick, and they all got to share some stories and stuff, which was great. And then they brought us out kind of as a cherry on top, I think. We were there the whole time. They brought us early, and we sat backstage and watched the show from there. I wish we could have watched it actually from the audience's view, because it was backstage it's always harder to hear the monitors and stuff. You're kind of crowding around a little monitor, which is insane. There's a big show going on outside with, I don't know, probably 5,000 plus people, and everybody can see and hear it all great. And then we're crammed in the back watching on an 18-inch monitor, and going, shh, I can't hear. And then to see the clips, when they would play clips and stuff, we'd have to look at like a little 6-inch monitor that was a split screen on. So, the experience for the actors backstage was kind of like very different than what you all experienced when you were there, which is great. I mean, you all should be able to see it. What I would have loved is to be able to see the whole thing like that. So I'll have to go back and watch it online. But anyways, so everybody had a good time there. And I got to see all my old friends, people like Ian McDiarmid and his manager is wonderful, Stuart. Stuart Stanley is just great. So to see Stuart was great. He was giving me a bad time. He gave me a Emperor button to wear. So I was wearing the Emperor's button on my thing, which a Jedi wearing that was a big favor for him to ask. No, we were giving each other a bad time. So Ian had the big announcement. I think that was probably the biggest thing, is that the Emperor is going to be back from the trailer. People ask, "Oh, yeah, did you see the trailer?" So I saw it backstage. It doesn't work the same way. Again, everything. All of us get to see the things from backstage. It's really it's funny, but so the trailer happened, big announcement, all that. Everybody's excited. And then Catherine Tabor and I are backstage with Greg Grunberg. And if you know Greg, he's a character actor. He's been in the films, and he's a good friend of J.J. Abrams. He was in Lost and all this too. He's a very talented actor and fun guy. And Greg showed on his iPhone, he showed it to us, the trailer. So we're sitting back in the green room where it's kind of loud and stuff, and he's got his hand kind of cupped around the speaker so we can hear it. And we're watching. At least he had an iPhone 10 like me, because the screen was bigger. But we got to watch the trailer for the new film on Greg Grunberg's iPhone. So there you go. That's the life of a celebrity. But yeah, so that was the big announcement. I think that was probably the first day, right? And then all the days that followed were fun and great stuff. Hayden Christensen was there. Got to meet him. Got to shake his hand. I said to him, which is weird. So I introduced myself to Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen. Say, I'm James Arnold Taylor. I play Obi-Wan on the Clone Wars. And what he said to me was, "You guys have done so much for the world of Star Wars and the fan base. So thank you for what you do." Yeah, I mean, isn't that great? What a humble, wonderful guy. Sweet, good-natured man. Not at all like Darth Vader. No. He was great, and that was really nice. And then it was really great for him and Matt Lanter to get to chat and all. And I got to tell him as well that I liked the movie Shattered Glass, which is one of my favorites that he did. Where if you haven't seen that movie, I think I mentioned it on the podcast before, see it. It is so good. He does a great job in that, playing the guy, I believe his name's Stephen Glass, who was kind of I think he's better now, but I think he was kind of a pathological liar. He was making up stories, and it's a fascinating story. But Shattered Glass, starring Hayden Christensen, great movie. Check that out. But he and Matt Lanter got to have a photo together. I took a photo, which I got in trouble for taking too, by the way. There's a whole story there. I felt bad. I felt really bad. It's not supposed to be that. So Hayden and Matt got a photo together, the two Anakins, and somebody was taking it, and I was off to the side, so I took kind of a sideways one. So if you saw my Instagram or my Twitter feed, you see the photo. And I think after closer examination, it does look like Hayden was either about to blink or was just finishing blinking a little. But and so he has, his eyes are just closed a little more than usual, maybe. But I thought he looked great, and the sun was kind of hitting. So the two of them, like two of the most handsome guys in the building, hanging out together, and they both happen to be Anakin Skywalker. But I felt really bad. I think his management got mad at me for taking that photo. So if you're listening, Of course you're listening to my show. Hayden Christensen's management. I'm very sorry. I did not mean to break any rules or do anything or to anything at all. I was just excited to see my buddy Matt Lanter get a photo with the other Anakin because we're all just fans, and that was nice. And that's all I was trying to do. Wasn't trying to mess anything up. There's a lot of rules. See, there's a lot of rules in Star Wars when you work in Star Wars. There's no rules. Here's the rules for you as fans of Star Wars. Love it, enjoy it, take it in, okay? For us, we do have to abide by some rules, don't announce things. And Matt Wood, my friend Matt Wood, I think there was big saying there was a slip of the tongue there that he mentioned something about a Lego project or something. But, the thing to remember is everybody's working on 20 different things. Matt is working on 120 different things because of doing the sound design and acting and all of that, Matt Wood. So give him a break, everybody. And that includes Lucas and Disney, too. If he did slip on anything, give him a break. He didn't mean to. He's doing interviews. That was up on the big Star Wars stage. I got to go up on the Star Wars show with Anthony, and that was fun. But you know what's funny is I tried to find it on StarWars.com and they didn't do it. So I don't know if anybody watched like the live streams. Let me know if you saw me interviewed on that stage because I didn't see it. And I know Matt Lanter was interviewed on there, and Sam, and I think Dee maybe was too. The only one of us they posted was Ashley. And, it was kind of Ahsoka's time, I guess, on there, which is fine. That's great. I mean, it's great for Ashley, and I'm happy for her. But, yeah, they didn't post any of our videos or our interviews there. Ours were short anyways. But they had us there just for a couple minutes and interviewed us. But it's always nice to be on their Star Wars show. They're all very nice people. Andy and Anthony, I like them quite a bit, and ran into them at the restaurant the first night, and they were like, "You're going to be on the show." And I'm like, "Really? I didn't know." And it wasn't in my schedule, but then it turns out it was. And so I went on and I was there, like I say. Got to watch from backstage while they interviewed the people from the Galaxy's Edge stuff, which was fun. And then went up to them and, because they're all like rock stars now, the Imagineers that created that. And I go up to them and shake their hand and say, congratulations, it's all looking good. They're like, thanks, and you are? It's funny. Nobody knows who I am still, but whatever. All of you do. But there's it's a whole new thing. It's Disney, Star Wars, it's all a whole new thing, and it's great. So there you go. But okay, so then I was on the Star Wars show there, and like I say, I can't find it online, but that's okay. And there was, what else did we do? Well, we went out a lot. So Kat Tabor and Dee Bradley Baker and I grabbed a table, and that was always fun. See, the fun stuff is like when we're just hanging out in the hotel. So they put us in the same hotel as everybody else. So, we're going to the lobby and walking through and going to places and stuff, just like all of you. So people would come up to us, "Hey, can I get a picture?" and stuff. And so, we do selfies with people and all that. The one rule when you're brought in to do signing for a company is you can't do autographs, because that's part of the deal when you're at the table. So we signed at the tables, but we would do selfies for people when they're walking by and stuff, sure, when they asked. One person the other day, I felt bad on Sunday, because normally I like to stop and let people take a selfie with me, and I did that quite a bit. I mean, hundreds of selfies were taken with me, I think. In fact, if you got a selfie with me, post it. I haven't seen a lot of them, but a lot of people took selfies with me. So, But one young man was asking me, James, can I have it? And I was on my way to the podcast stage. I was running late. I needed to be on for Coffee with Kenobi, my good buddy Dan Zier over there, and all of them. So I was going to be on, and I needed to get over there. And so I'm walking, and the fellas, "Can I get a selfie real quick?" And so I turn around, and I still need to keep moving, so I'm walking backwards. And I'm trying to say to the guy, "I'm so sorry, I can't, I actually do not have time to stop." And as I'm saying this to him while I'm walking backwards, I run smack dab into one of these poles, the big columns that are holding up the building, these gigantic, 6 foot wide columns, just bammo right into it. And my back is still hurting me, and my neck, I got a little whiplash. I wish that fan, if you're listening and you're that fan, I wish you had said, "Watch out," instead of just still trying to get me to get that selfie. But the dangers of being a Star Wars celebrity at a Star Wars celebration walking the floor. No, anyways. So what would I do in the off time? I would hang out with my friends. Catherine Tabor and I, Matt Lanter and I hung out. D. Bradley Baker and I went to dinner one night. We had a lovely dinner downtown, so we went downtown. The convention area didn't have a lot of restaurants that I could eat at because, my diet's a little more restrictive. And Dee's is as well. Dee actually eats very similar to me, kind of a paleo type diet. So there's this place, True Food Kitchen, that I love, and they have them down here in Los Angeles. And so I said, hey, I'm making a reservation. You want to go to dinner with me? And Vanessa Marshall and Catherine Tabor were supposed to join us, but they had their rehearsal for the Ladies of the Force show that they did with Ashley and Amy Ratcliffe and some other folks. And that was great. So they had a rehearsal, so they had to miss it. So it was just Dee and I. So Dee Bradley Baker, the voice of all the clones, and myself went to dinner. And we just, I know every person listening would love to have been a fly on the wall or sitting at the table next to us to hear our conversation. And all I can say is, yeah, you would have, because, you put two grizzled old voice actors together to talk about Star Wars and voiceover and stuff and just kind of reminisce and have a good time. That's exactly what we did. So we had a great time. I love D. Bradley Baker like a brother. He is just such a wonderful man, such a wonderful talent. I'm so honored that he would call me friend and that he would take the time to have dinner with me and such. But what an amazing talent, and what an amazing man and Star Wars fan as well. And so I know many of you probably got your time with D, and if you did, you know what I'm talking about. He's a wonderful man. So we just had a blast. Sitting around reminiscing, we've known each other for 20 years at least, and so we've worked together on things. So it's been a big long haul. So we just were talking about life and voiceover, and remember we worked on that together. We did that together. Codenamed Kids Next Door. He was a couple characters on that show, I believe, and I was some regular characters on that show quite a bit. I love that show. Many of you probably know that show. I was King Sandy. I was the kind of announcer. I was doing like a Howard Cosell type voice. It's a beautiful day out here today. And I did a bunch of different voices on that show. It was fun. But anyways, so we had dinner, and then, you pay the $1,000 Uber ride back to the place. I went to Whole Foods a lot. I had to go to Whole Foods. First thing I do so what happens when I go to a con? First thing I do, I find where the Whole Foods is, the nearest Whole Foods, and I go and I stock up on water because I get my Mountain Valley water. Mountain Valley water was the official water of the JAT channel, the YouTube channel, and all the shows I did there, like Clone Wars Conversations and stuff. But they are still a great friend to the James Arnold Taylor podcast and everything, and that's really the only water I drink. If I'm not at home, I have a whole reverse osmosis water system for my entire house. So the entire house, the entire Taylor household, is reverse osmosis, and that is actually thanks to rainwater. They put this gigantic, it looks like a Star Wars thing in my garage. It's this huge thing with these giant, Bacta tanks basically filled with water. So, all the water in the house is drinkable, like purified drinking water, from every spout, every spigot, the shower head, even the toilets flush with clean water. I know, I'm sorry, too much information. So yes, but otherwise I drink Mountain Valley water. And so Mountain Valley water, I go and get myself some Mountain Valley water at the Whole Foods. I get myself some rice and some salad and some veggies and all of that. So I have some things. I get myself some snacks, some oatmeal and stuff. So I fill up my room. So I always have things. I get myself some of those macro bars, which are great. And that's what I did. That was the first night. And then the next day, and I went both days and got myself some food and stuff. And then the first night, Catherine Tabor came over. We chatted about stuff, about Star Wars and preparing for the day. And, we pray together too. Kat and I are both believers, strong believers. And we pray for all of you that are at the convention and all of you that are not able to make it and are watching from the internet. And we pray for us to be, healthy and make it through and to not put our foot in our mouth or anything or give away any secrets, and to bless every person that we see. And so we do that. And then Matt and Kat and I get together and we pray because Matt Lanter is also, of course, a believer. So, the three of us, people go, what do? You guys all sit around, spend time together? Yeah, we do. A lot of it was praying. I was joking around with them. I was like, can you imagine what most people kind of think, what we do as actors, hanging out, talking about Star Wars, these, because we've been playing these characters for, everybody keeps saying 10 years. That's because the show, it was 10 years, but it's actually been 12 years because we worked on the show for almost 2 years before it came out. So, it's really been more like 12 years. It was 2005 when we started working on everything, really. So that's 2005 is, oh man, now my math is bad. That's like 14 years or something like that, isn't it? Yeah. So anyways, but I remember it specifically because the week I got back, I've mentioned this before probably, the week I got back from China with my daughter, which was in November of 2005, the next week was when I met Dave Filoni and Henry Gilroy for the first time, and they were casting for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And so there you go. And it was within that year that we all started working together. So 2005. There you go. And then the movie came out in 2007 or 8? I don't know. Gosh, it's been a while. So long time. But what do we all do? Yeah, Kat, Matt, and Jat, we sit around and we pray. We pray for all of you. We pray for each other. And there you go. Yeah, and we talk about life and all that too. But this is just kind of I don't know, maybe this is a boring podcast today. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of rambling, but I also know that I've got to get a podcast out. I want to tell you guys stories, and I don't want to lose my voice, which is kind of crackly. So, I'm just kind of rambling. Free flow. This is a free-flowing episode of the podcast. I'm going to, try to get back to it here soon. But other fun moments, let's see, Ahmed Best was there, and Ahmed is a dear friend. Ahmed, of course, played Jar Jar Binks. And I am thrilled to death that people are showing love for the character of Jar Jar now. Because frankly, the Star Wars fans of my generation that are, 4, 5, and 6 only, y'all need to, you need to cut it out with the whole Jar Jar bashing, all right? That's all way over. It's been so many years. What is it, 20 years since Phantom Menace came out now? Isn't that what they did a big celebration of? And Ahmed Best, Jar Jar Binks, that character is as much ingrained into the culture of Star Wars and acceptable as any other character in the franchise, and it's a great character. So, and I did discuss with Ahmed the whole Jar Jar's a Sith thing, and I got to tell you, we both really like that idea. And honestly, I think someone ought to either write a book, or they ought to make a movie, or it should be a show or something. Jar Jar really is a Sith. Wouldn't that be something? I think it'd be something. And I'm going to tell this story. I don't think Ahmed would be upset if I told this story because he was joking about it. So when people come to your table, most of the things we sign are collectibles that people have. So you go and you buy a ticket with the folks at Topps and you spend whatever. I don't even know how much people were spending for the autograph. So I just say thank you because I don't know what you all spent. But and I don't mean that to sound as though I'm disconnected. It's just I try to make my experience about all of you and not about the financial aspects of all of it. So, anyways, when people come up and they want us to sign things, they always have these very highly collectible, posters and pictures and statuettes and toys, and they want us to sign them. And you're dealing with Sharpies, ink, and a lot of times it's paint pens and everything. And they smear if they don't dry or if they get touched too soon. And Ahmed was telling me this story that this guy's got this, poster with everybody's signatures on it. It's all this whole big thing. And Ahmed signs his and his hand slips and it's like smears the ink across. I'm laughing. I'm so sorry if to the person that happened, although the person that it happened to seemed like he was a good sport about it and kind of laughed too. And you'll understand why I'm laughing. The one guy that that slips and messes up and whoop, and it becomes like a Jerry Lewis routine with the poster is Ahmed Best, the actor that portrayed Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar is a klutz. So Ahmed had a Jar Jar moment with this guy's poster, and it was hysterical. I was like, you do know that's perfect that it happened with you. And he's like, yeah. It was great. Met a lot of the folks I met a lot of the folks because we're in most of our time is spent in this big green room where it's just us. I mean, now all of you would be like, oh my gosh, I'd love to be in that green room, but because that's where all the celebrities, all the Star Wars celebrities are. But one person, Bobby Moynihan, now Bobby was on SNL for many years, Saturday Night Live and everything, but he's also, involved in Star Wars now because, he's on Resistance. And so Bobby is a huge fan of it all. So I remember when he followed me on Twitter last year or something, and I was so excited. I followed him back. It was great. But what a sweet guy. Really funny, sweet, just really a great guy. So he was great. But all of the folks on Star Wars Resistance, but Christopher Sean, Chris plays, how do you say it, Kazuda on the show, and Susie McGrath and Scott Lawrence. They were all just so sweet. I met Myrna Velasco as well. And I don't know who else. Let's see. Yeah, Bobby, of course. I'm trying to see if who else might have been there. Well, Donald Faison was there. I didn't get to say hi to Donald, but I've known Donald for a long time. And but anyways, a lot of folks on here. There's a lot of folks on the show. But Christopher Sean, what a dear soul he is. What a wonderfully talented fellow. And of course, you may know him from Hawaii Five-0 and such as well. But Christopher, boy, he's going to be a bright light in Hollywood. He was just such a sweetheart, and he had this great energy. He was so excited. It was great fun to see these folks from Resistance there for like the first time as their first celebration, and really getting to celebrate that and stuff. And so it was great. It was great to get to meet them and to spend time with them. So I spent a lot of time talking with Chris and backstage about just life and everything, and he was just a awesome fella. So it was a lot of fun. Who else? What else? So, gosh, what else did I do? Any other moment? I'm sure there were moments that I'm just not aware of. Or I was on the escalator going up to the green room, and what's his name? Oscar Isaacs was there. I do that kind of on purpose. What's his name? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Because they're now the big stars of it all, and so I kid. That's a joke, Oscar, because I know you listen to my podcast, Oscar. I did meet him at the last celebration, and I met him there, and there you go. And I saw him on the escalator, and I saw Kathleen Kennedy. I was going up, she was going down the escalator. I was going up the escalator, and same with Oscar Poe Dameron. And so there was my big brush with all of the stars of the new stuff. But they don't keep them in the same green room. Like they have like a special place for all of them. They won't have them bending about with the riffraff like all of us. But so there's still levels. It's still high school, like anything else to a degree, I guess. But anyways, so yeah, there was that. People got to see the new trailer. People want to know my reaction to the new trailer. Like I say, I watched it once on Greg Grunberg's cell phone. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. I thought it was exciting. I loved the contrast to North by Northwest that someone did. I think I retweeted that. I think that was really cool. On the cinematic front, I think that's really awesome. Oh, and there's some more. There's stories that aren't Star Wars related as well that I want to talk about at some point here that I will. But continuing on. So yeah, and so Sunday was
Sunday.
That's another announcer guy. That's not Jake the announcer guy. That's big monster truck announcer guy. Hey, monster truck announcer guy.
Yeah. Cheers.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah, everything you do is kind of big and stuttery and all of that. You need a name.
Yeah, man. Give me a big announcer guy name.
How about boss? You're like the boss.
Boss. That's me, Mr. Announcer Guy. Boss. Monster Truck Announcer Guy.
All right, we'll see ya.
Okay, see you later.
See, he tricked you there. You thought he was going to do a big exit, but he didn't. All right. Anyways, so Sunday was the big Clone Wars Day, and everybody was very excited about that. Everybody was very excited. So, but before that, we did on Saturday, we had our big picture day. So you could get a picture with the Clone Wars cast. And I honestly, there was well over 100 people. There was well over 100 people that got their pictures taken with us. There had to be. It was nonstop. And so here's the thing. If you got your picture with us, please know this. We all were bummed that we didn't get a chance to like talk to any of you, but they had so many people, and that's the way they do it. You say next, and then you come in. Okay, don't move. Thank you. Next. Okay, don't move. Thank you. Next. And that's it. I mean, they just, we have no control over that because that's a separate company. And those folks though that do that, I believe it's Epic. They've got so much they're juggling. So please be kind to them. Because the service they're providing is a brand new service to cons, really all this photo stuff. It's only been going on for 5-6 years or so. They have their hands full. They do a great job. And then they print them out and you get them right then and stuff. But it is a machine, and it kind of has to be a machine because there's so many of you that want that. So please understand, it's like when you do that, you don't get a real one-on-one experience with us. That's what, getting the autographs and stuff. We try to give you more time there. And I try to spend time with everybody. But with the photo ops, we don't get that chance. And it's because it's just they want to get everybody in and out of there. They don't want to have to tell somebody sorry, And so that's why they're doing it. It's not because they're just trying to move us all along like cattle. It's because they really want to make sure everybody gets their photo. And they're good folks. They're wonderful folks that we were with. So big shout out to, it was Matt and Mystique that were our photographers and all the crew there. They did a great job. But man, yeah, so we all were just like smiling and nodding. We couldn't talk to each other either. So we're all, the whole Clone Wars cast in one room at the same time for like an hour, and we couldn't really talk to each other because we were constantly just having to get our photo taken with people. So it was fun though. It was really a fun experience. And then Sunday we had the big panel, and that panel was where you all had a chance to see, and it's on that's on StarWars.com, and you can see the whole panel. It was an hour-long panel on the main stage, hosted by Warwick Davis. And it was Dave Filoni, D. Bradley Baker, Ashley Eckstein, and Sam Witwer. And then they brought us on, like I say, as kind of a cherry on top at the end. And I wish we could have all, in my perfect world, we would have had a kind of a Clone Wars reunion where we recap things more so kind of all the years of Clone Wars and kind of give everybody a chance to maybe tell some little stories and things. And then in the back half hour of it, then kind of show the clips and then end with that trailer. That's me personally. That's what I would have done. But I am no longer the host of that stage and all that. So that's good water. Are you drinking water? But I think that would have been a great way to really super serve all of the Clone Wars fans, all those Anakin fans, all those Anakin Padme fans, because that is a big storyline too. That is a huge storyline, in my opinion, for fans of Anakin Skywalker and the Clone Wars and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, is knowing all of the in-betweens there that happen, and knowing about Obi-Wan and Anakin's brotherhood and fellowship there too, and their relations to the clones and their relations to the battles and all of that as well. So, I think that's a huge portion of Star Wars fans that want to know about those things too. So I would have probably added more of that stuff and not just done just all about the new, although I know that's what everybody's interested in. But it was, you have an hour. That's a great way to celebrate it. But anyways, so we all went back there, and it was just great to all be together. We did a big photo shoot and stuff. And then we all came out on stage and did our little thing. And then it's always afterwards, you're always like, gosh, I wish I could have said this. I wish I could have said that. I really wanted to thank Tracy Canobio, who over at Lucasfilm, who does such a great job with everything and is such a huge fan and really rallied for all of us to, get there and be a part of all this. And so a big, huge thank you to Tracy, who is more than likely not listening to this. But she's busy. She's busy doing Star Wars stuff. Anyways, I think everybody loved the Clone Wars panel, and I'm grateful for everybody there to be up on the stage and seeing all of you. Some people said, "Oh, James looked very serious." I saw something online about that. I think, really just taking in, on an emotional level, all of the thousands and thousands of people there and the lightsabers going and the audience cheering. And I was trying to be reverent, I guess, but also show my appreciation for all of you. And, my heartfelt thanks. So plus I'm not the host. It's not my place to do much talking or anything. So I just was giving everybody else a moment. I've had plenty of time to blather on and on a stage at a Star Wars celebration or a Star Wars event. So it was my time to sit back and watch it all as just one of the actors in it, which is what ultimately I am, and grateful to be more than anything. If I never host another Star Wars event, would I be sad? Well, yes, of course, only in that I love interacting with all of you in that way. But I'm an actor. I'm not a host, first and foremost. First and foremost, I'm an actor, then a host maybe. So my job was to be there as a performer. And so I was happy to be there and see you all. So if I looked serious, it's because I was very thankful. I was very thankful for all of you. I was very touched and moved by all the folks that were there. And I was trying to allow as much microphone time to my colleagues, my co-stars, and allow them to be able to talk and stuff, although I felt like I probably talked too much already. I got my hello there in there, which was great. It's so funny how hello there has become such a thing. So we had that big thing, and then how do you end a day like that? Catherine Tabor and I went, well, Matt Lanter went and put on I don't know if you know this, he put on what's the black stormtrooper helmet? He put on one of those, and he walked the floor. So he walked around on the floor. So, and one person actually recognized him, went, "Hey, Matt." Isn't that crazy? They knew it was him. They must have recognized his outfit. So Matt Lanter, Anakin Skywalker walked the floor, and then Kat Tabor and I went out to dinner to a place called the Little Beat Table, which is a wonderful restaurant. If you live in Chicago and you're looking for a nice, especially a couple or something. Kat and I are not a couple, obviously. She's like my little sister, but a family or a date or something like. It's just a lovely little bistro called the Little Beat Table. They have one in New York, and I love that. I take my wife there when we go there, and so I said, "Hey, let's go have a nice dinner after a day of thousands and thousands of people. Let's go have a nice, quiet little dinner out there and chat about our day," which we did, which was great. And then Matt, after walking the floor, texted and said, "Hey, bring me a cheeseburger." So, we did get him a hamburger. So that was fun. And it was just delightful to spend time with my co-stars like that. Matt Lanter couldn't be more of a brother to me than he is. He's just, I think he is one of the dearest souls on the planet, and such an amazingly talented actor. I cannot wait to see all of the wonderful things that Matt Lanter does as a performer, and when he gets even more opportunities to do even more things. So if you're an aspiring writer, director, filmmaker out there, make sure you write stuff for Matt Lanter to be in, because he is, in my book, he's Harrison Ford quality as far as long-lasting and performance and abilities. He's great. He's a brother in Christ, but he's also a brother to me, not just from Star Wars. And I am not just saying that because I know that from time to time he actually listens to this show. He does. Matt Lanter, see, I always joke, oh, nobody's listening to the show. Matt Lanter, the voice of Anakin Skywalker and huge TV and film star that he is, listens to my humble little podcast from time to time. So, Matt, if you're listening, I swear I'm not saying this because I think you're listening. I'm saying it because I'd say it whether I knew you listened or not. All right. And I love you. Okay, there you go. Just from being a great person. And then same, Catherine Tabor. What a tremendous, dear soul. She is, again, one of my dearest friends in the world. And her and I are working on our film. So we spent a lot of time talking about that as well, and the excitement about that we have for this film. So again, the movie I'm making is called Sons and Daughters, and it is a modern day telling, basically, of the parable of the prodigal son, the parable that Jesus told, and but with a twist. There's a bit of a twist in it, and we're going to try to start production on that soon. So as you can see, I'm growing out the beard, growing out the hair, and I have to play somebody much older than myself, which is not a challenge. No. Here's the biggest challenge. So we're shifting a little here for a second. We're getting away from the Star Wars conversation. Sorry. Talking about my new film that we'll be making. Because here's the thing, when I told people there I'm making a new movie and that's why I'm growing my beard, they go, "Oh, are you going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi?" I could only hope. No. Ewan McGregor will do a great job of that, and if that ever happens or comes out or whatever. But so we're making this film, and it's I have a script that I'm very proud of and very happy to start shooting, and so we're gonna start shooting it soon. I don't know where I was going with that. So it's about a painter, so I'm also having to paint a lot of things, and then I'm also just coming up with a backstory. So I will tell you this, the film is shot in documentary format because I love documentaries. And also the nice thing about that is when you're shooting a film on a budget where you have no budget, because I am actually taking just money out of my own pocket, whatever I make, and putting it into this film right now. I have no financiers for this film yet. If I get some, that would be delightful. I would love that. So if you're somebody with, $100,000 sitting around and you want to put it into a Christian film, hey, give me a call. But other than that, no, I'm just doing it on my own here with the equipment I have and stuff. And so documentary format is the kind of the best way to do that, to keep it to where it makes sense for the look and feel of it. So we're shooting it in that format. We'll be shooting it in my home. We'll be shooting it in some friends' places and stuff too, and calling in some favors. But Vanessa Marshall will be in the film as well as a performer in it, and she's got a great part in it. And my friend AJ Locasio has just agreed to play a part in it as well. AJ, if you don't know, AJ is the tremendous voice actor behind the voice of Marty McFly in the Back to the Future video games. And I, of course, was young Doc Brown to his Marty McFly in those games. And I remember when AJ and I first met, he was like so nervous that I was going to be upset that he was voicing Marty, because he does a tremendous Michael J. Fox. He sounds more like Michael than Michael does. And that's not an insult. I'm just saying, it's like it's amazing. Like, yeah. And so he is a wonderful, and he's on the Croods or the Cruds? How do you say that show? I don't know, that DreamWorks show. And he's on many other, he was on Voltron as well. Yeah, and did a great job on Voltron. But AJ is a up-and-coming voice actor and an on-camera actor, and he's a tremendous on-camera actor, actually. His audition for me for this last year, he had done a self-taped audition for the role of Samuel, who is the son, one of the sons. He's actually the prodigal son in this film. And this is exclusive, by the way. I have not talked about this anywhere else, so only on my podcast, which I'm going to give you week by week some updates on my film and how it's going and stuff, too. So the film, if you don't know the story of the Prodigal Son, it is in Luke. Yeah, let me back up. If you do not know the story of the Prodigal Son, it is in Luke, the Bible, in the book of Luke, chapter 15, and it is verses 11 through the end, I believe. Yeah, 11 through 32. Now, when I say that, what does that mean? Now, if you're somebody that does not read the Bible or anything, look, again, I'm not preaching Bible at you, but I want to just tell you how it all works, because just like with voiceover or acting or anything else, art or whatever you do, there's a language that people speak, and then other people, if you don't know it, you're walking in and you're like, I don't understand that. So let me explain to you how the Bible works. And again, I'm not saying it so this can be a Bible lesson for all of you, or that I'm preaching at you. I'm telling those of you, because remember the old motto here at the James Arnold Taylor Show: know more than you want to know, and know what you believe and why you believe it. So if you're somebody that is not a person of Christian faith or faith in God, that's okay. What I'm saying, I want you to be, but what I'm saying is I'm at least going to educate you as much as I can on the way we kind of talk and work and act and all of that with this stuff, so you understand it. So because I really, in my perfect world, people believing whatever different beliefs should be able to come together and not just argue at each other or mock each other. And the thing that I love about this show is so many of you that write to me that are not believers in the same way that I am, just say, I like how you just talk about it. And it's just like, I try to learn as much as I can about everybody else's belief systems and stuff. I want to know that too, because know more than you want to know. So anyways, the way the Bible works is it's broken up into books. And as my good friend Tom Wilson says, the Bible is more not so much a book as much as it is a library. And he's right. There's, 66 books in the Bible, and they are all different stories, and they all somehow connect. And they all tell different stories, some from different perspectives, some from different points of view. And so you have the Old Testament and you have the New Testament. And the Old Testament is Moses wrote most of the Old Testament, and it's more of the laws of the Jewish people and the lives of the Jewish people and the stories of them from the dawn of time. And then the New Testament was when Christ then became, because it was predicted throughout the Old Testament that a Messiah would come to save the world, that God would bring a Messiah, and he did in his son Jesus. And so then the books were written around that time by the apostles, and the apostles were the people that followed him. So again, I'm only telling you this because this is the stuff that makes up my belief system. And if you're listening to me and you like my show and you want to know more about my movie and stuff, I'm just giving you a little education as to why I'm making the film that I do. So in the book of Luke, now Luke was one of the apostles, and Luke was a doctor. He was a man of science. He was very much a man of science, and he wrote a book to give his testimony of what he witnessed firsthand. So it's not like a bunch of stories. It's his actual recounting of his time spent with Jesus, the man, the human being. And Jesus would tell stories. So this is what I think is interesting. We are all enveloped in story. We all love stories. We love story. We love movies. We love books. We love comics. We love all of this stuff. We love video game stories. Now, back then, everybody loved story too. But back then, you didn't have any of the technology. So you'd get together, and if somebody was a teacher or somebody of prominence there that people wanted to hear from because they thought, oh, this is a smart person, this is somebody that says stuff that means stuff, they would tell stories. And Christ told parables. Now, what are parables? Parables are simply stories that parallel, and let's look it up. You know what? I can actually tell you what a parable is, but here's what I do. I don't know how much you all do this, but do you look stuff up when you want to know? So parable, if we go to the dictionary, parable is a noun. It's a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson, as told by Jesus in the Gospels, as it says. So Jesus would use parables to tell stories that would then relate to your own life, you see. So when he was trying to explain the love of God for humanity, for everyone, because God loves everyone, no matter what you believe. And I believe that, and I've seen that. So Jesus, who was God incarnate, told parables. And the parable he told of the prodigal son was about this young man. Well, there was a father who had two sons, and the youngest one got a little fed up with living with this father that kind of gave him everything and took care of him and did all this, and kind of like, I want to find out for myself. I want to slip and fall on my own. I want to make mistakes on my own. I want to learn what's right and wrong on my own. I want what's mine. Give me my money. So this father gave him his share of his estate, basically his inheritance, which was also the son's way of saying, I wish you were dead. Like, he was so done with his father. It's like, I'm done with you. You could just be dead for all I care. Just give me what's mine. And the father, who was so loving, said, okay, son, here it is, take it. And that son took that money and all that he had and went to a distant town, a different place. And he became the hotshot in town with all the money and all that. And people loved him and because of that, and they wanted from him, and they took, and he partied and did a lot of things he shouldn't have done, and went out and was used by a lot of people and used a lot of people himself. And it was kind of, forgive the expression, but sex, drugs, and rock and roll for the young son. And he blew it all. He blew all the money. And then he's feeding pigs in a sty. Now, you have to understand when Jesus tells the Jewish people that this guy blew all of his money and he was at the lowest of lows by saying he was somebody feeding pigs, which Jewish people regarded as an unclean animal. This was saying this is the bottom of the barrel. This is as low as you can go, right? It's kind of like, okay, Star Wars fans, it's like Anakin is a slave on Tatooine. Like, it doesn't get much worse than that, right? So that's kind of the story there, right? And this guy comes to his senses, it says. He's feeding pigs, and he's like, I would eat the slop these pigs are eating. He's that hungry. He's that out of it. So he goes, I'm going to go, what am I, crazy? My father's servants have food and clothes and a nice place to sleep. I'll go back and I'll just tell him, look, I'm sorry. Let me just be one of your servants because I realized I totally messed up. So the son goes back to the father, and the father is out in the fields, and he sees his son walking, and his son is tattered and bruised and broken. And instead of this father seeing the son going, coming back to me, huh? Yeah, sure. The father runs to the son. He runs to the son, and he grabs him and hugs him and kisses him and loves him and says, you're back. I thought you were dead, basically. You're alive. And he loves him. And the son tries to give his whole speech of like, no, I'm not worthy. And the father's like, I won't even hear it. I'll have none of that. Let's have a feast. Let's have a party. So they have a big party to celebrate that the son is there. Now that is so. And then let me finish the story first. There's an older brother. There's a second son, which we mentioned, and that older brother sees all of this and goes, "What the what? Are you kidding me? I've been working for you," to the father. "I've been working for you like my whole life. I do everything right. I follow all the rules. I follow all the rules. I do whatever you say. I honor you always. And the thanks I get is I get to go in and watch this guy who blew your money and disgraced our name and was a total jerk, come back home now going like, oh, I'm sorry. And then you give him a party? What's going on, Dad? Come on." And the dad says to that son, "Everything I've ever had is yours, just like it was his. And whatever you want, you could have always just asked. I didn't ask you to follow every rule that way without coming to me and talking about it with me. I didn't ask you to do it resentfully. I didn't ask you to do it to prove your value and worth to me, because I don't need that. Your value and worth to me is just the fact that you are, that you exist. And my proof of that is how much I'm loving you and your brother now. We've got to rejoice." So in that parable, when people were asking, what is God like? Jesus is basically saying God is that father. And each one of us is one of those two sons in one way or another at some point in our life. And sometimes maybe we're both. I have been both of those sons. I have walked away from God. I have lived a life away from God where I wasn't paying attention to him. And then I've lived a life where I'm paying so much attention to God that I'm getting, conceited about it. And I think that, a lot of folks, a lot of you listening maybe that have had problems with either family or friends that are Christians, is a lot of times we end up, and I've been guilty of this myself in my life, kind of holding up what we do and what we have and our truth, because we, of course, if you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus and you believe in the truth of that, you believe that is the truth, that is the gospel, and so that's it. And so a lot of times what happens is people then end up holding that up over people instead of for people. Does that make sense? And so with the prodigal son story, what I want to be, and actually what I play in the film, is the father, the one that goes, it doesn't matter. And we all make mistakes, because that's really, I think, see, again, the older son folks that are like the older son kind of want to put all these standards and things into play to all of you, or to me, or to all of us, to say, this is how you believe in God. This is what God expects. You know what God expects? God expects that you're going to mess up. God expects that you're going to do good things and then mess up again, and then maybe do some more good things and then mess up again. Just picture it, like, especially if any of you have children, watch your child. Okay, watch them when they're learning to walk, and think of how when they do and they kind of fall and you go, oh, hang on, kiddo. And then you pick them up and you hold them and they're holding your fingers and you're kind of walking with them and all that. Or if you have nieces and nephews, or if you can remember being yourself a little kid just trying, and the father watches in delight and knows that each little mistake and every little thing builds, as I've said many times before, more strength in your life, builds you up, builds character, builds strength, and hopefully gives you the eyes to see that the Father really is looking at you with love, not judgment. Okay? Not judgment. So in my film, I tried to tell the story, and AJ's going to play the younger son, and I'm playing the father. So he's actually playing my son in this. But there's a twist as well with Kat's character, which I'll get to. But so there's this whole balance of figuring out who you are in the story, and that's really it. And again, my story doesn't totally parallel it because Samuel, the character of Samuel, goes off in different directions. It changes a little, and there's some stuff that happens, and that's not necessarily the focus. The focus is not the prodigal son. The focus is more on all the characters really as a whole, and it doesn't totally do that. Anyways, I'm off on a tangent. Doesn't matter. So my job on this podcast is, again, and I'm sorry for those of you that are like, look, I just want to hear you talk about Star Wars and stuff. Now you're giving like a Bible lesson. Well, it's a life lesson, and it's also insight into me, because if you're listening to this podcast, hopefully it's because you're interested in me as a person, not just as a voice actor, or not just to hear me talk about, hanging out with Frank Oz or Ian McDiarmid or Matt Lanter, but to hear about who I am as a person. And who I am as a person is this person that is a Christian first and foremost, above all else. And my job is to explain to people the best I can that as a Christian, my job is not to judge anyone. My job is to show as much love as I can and offer a cup of cold water to those in need. And this podcast can be that cup of cold water for anybody that is struggling, that is depressed, or that is sad, or that is trying to find their way in life, no matter what they believe. And even if at the end of the day they choose to not believe in what I believe, but want and need encouragement, we all want and need encouragement. And that God does not judge any of us for who we are, what we are, how we are in that way. And he does not call any of us to judge that. Ultimately, God is the ultimate judge. But you know what he does? He loves us. That's his judgment is, I will love you. I will love you. You have free will. And if you choose to be away from me, and if you choose to live outside of my love, I can't help that. But you, because of the free will I gave you. And isn't that actually a greater love of a father, to give their children everything they want? So in other words, the father in the parable of the story of the prodigal son gave his son free will. He gave his son everything he asked for and let his son discover on his own the trials of life. And when his son realized his error, he came back to him, and rather than judge him, he loved him. And that's what God does. He does actually do that. He loves us that way. And it's my prayer that everybody listening to this would someday have that experience with God. Again, no matter what you believe, that you would have an experience with God that shows you that he does love you no matter what. That he loves you no matter what you've done, no matter who you are, no matter what you've said, no matter what you feel. He just loves you. And that's my job as a Christian as well, is to show love for you and compassion for you and understanding for you, and help you to see better that God is awesome. He really is. He's really awesome, and he's just neato. He's neato torpedo. Okay. But the film, Sons and Daughters, is kind of a telling of that, but not really, because it's told from a documentary filmmaker's perspective. And the documentary filmmaker is played by Catherine Tabor, and the character's name is Lydia, which, yes, I named her after my daughter. So Lydia Drake, this filmmaker, interviews this painter, Gregory Davidson, who I play. And Gregory has two sons, and AJ Locascio will play one of the sons, and Josh Duvall Preston will play the other son. It's Matthew and Samuel are the sons. And my character is he's an artist, and he's kind of a Willy Wonka in that nobody really knows anything about him. Nobody's ever been able to find out about him. And this documentary filmmaker gets a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to interview this guy and go to his house and interview him and find out about him. And find out about his paintings, because he was a very famous artist for a short time in the 90s and the 2000s. And he painted these paintings that people are intrigued by, because in the paintings, there's a hidden painting, and people want to know what the hidden painting is. And so this filmmaker, Lydia, gets to interview him and find out about him. But she also is on her own journey, because she never knew her own father, who was a mystery to her, and her mother left her a painting that is supposedly a painting by my character, Gregory. So she's trying to find out why her mother owned this painting that my character painted, and who her father is, and if he's connected to Gregory, or if he is Gregory, or whatever, because Gregory's older than her. So again, that's why I'm growing this beard. I have to be older, and I am much older than Catherine Tabor already. But I play kind of the old man character in this, and everybody else is the young the young folks in it. But so it will be a story, an interesting story. I know it's an interesting story. It's a fun story. And I hope you all like it. And I'm just giving you a little insight into it. But to do that, I needed to drink some water. I needed to give you some insight into the parable of the prodigal son. Oh, so what I was going to say is also, so the Bible is broken up into these books, and then each book is broken up into chapters, and then each verse, every line in those chapters is numbered. So you would say Luke 15, verses 11 through 32, those are the lines of dialogue, if you will, the sentences, the stories in there. And so it's all numbered. Everything is numbered within the Bible there. So you can find things, so you can reference things very quickly and easily. And so for those of you that don't know the Bible, that's what we say. We'd say Luke. So if you've ever heard that, like, scriptures, John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him will have everlasting life. John, so it's the book of John, it's chapter 3, and it's line 16, the 16th sentence in that book. So that's how the Bible works, and it's fun. You know what? If you've never read a Bible, if you've considered it, or you're curious about it, and again, even if you don't believe in it, even if you want to read it to disprove it for yourself. Don't disprove it because Bill Maher or somebody else in Hollywood told you it's a lie, or someone that you know said it's a lie. Read it yourself, ask for wisdom, and if you can, say, God, I don't even believe in you, but if you do exist and this book really is from you, open my eyes and show me that. Because guess what? If he's real, he'll do that, right? If there really is a God that created all things, he's big enough to hear you, see you, and get to you, and share with you. And, and some people read the Bible and have these huge awakenings. Lee Strobel, the author and writer of many books, The Case for Christ, was an atheist, and he did not believe in it. And his wife became a Christian. And he got so angry about her doing that is that he, as a reporter, went, I'll disprove the crucifixion of Christ and all of that, and the life and death and resurrection of him. And so he went and spoke to experts on both sides all over the world. And the conclusion he came to was God exists. Christ was real. Same conclusion I came to, same conclusion C.S. Lewis came to, same conclusion Charles Spurgeon came to, same conclusion that Martin Luther came to, same conclusion that Paul the Apostle came to after being knocked off his horse and blinded by Christ after he was convicting Christians and responsible for some being murdered and stuff because he hated them so much. So anyways, there you go. This, James, is Bible thumping. Whoop, sorry. No, I'm really trying not to, and I really try not to. I really try to just tell you my perspective of it all. And I'm saying, look, the burden's not on me. Go ahead, read it for yourself. If nothing else, look, if you're interested in reading a Bible, read, Luke there, the parables are great, but I always recommend people read the book of John first, because it kind of, don't start at Genesis. You start at Genesis, you're going to be like, what? I'm confused and this and that and the other. Start in John and learn about Jesus and learn about God's love for you first, because I think people tend to go to the Old Testament and go, God's this big angry God that convicts people up above and stuff, and he's not. But, and I know people would argue that, and you may be arguing with me right now saying that. I'm just saying, look, give it a shot if you want, and if not, and if you don't believe in it, read it anyways, so you can at least for yourself know why you don't believe in it. Don't disbelieve in something simply because somebody else tells you to disbelieve in it. Just like I'm telling you, you don't need to believe just because I believe, okay? You need to believe on your own, and you need to find answers on your own. But I'm here to say, yeah, I found it, and this is my journey, and this is really cool, and I'm happy to share about it. But do not simply believe because James Arnold Taylor does, all right? That's the big thing. Find out everything for yourself. That's the best part of life, learning for yourself, finding out what makes you grow in life, okay? That's the big lesson for today's podcast. We were going to take some emails, but boy, we're running out of time quickly. I just kind of rambled on and on, didn't I, for a long time. And that's okay. But it's also, it takes up a lot of time. I get so many emails. I'm so far behind on emails lately, and I'm so sorry. And I wish we had time for doing more emails and stuff. But so rather than bring Bob in, I'm just gonna bring. I'm just gonna read one or two here. Here's a neat one from Daniel in the UK. He says. He gives me some very nice things. He had messaged me before in November and everything. He says, I just want to let you know how much your podcast affects my life and my happiness. I started university in September. University, so for all of you in the States here, when he says I started university, it means he started going to college in September. And the change in my life has obviously been rather dramatic and at times quite hard. I am very fortunate to have many wonderful people around me and in my life who are always rocks for me to lean on. But like anyone, I often find the greatest joy in focusing on something other than real life. I have hobbies and interests, but your podcast, which actually started around the same time I started university, I believe, has had the most tremendous impact on my mind and my happiness. I'm always amazed at how you manage to be so joyful and uplifting and inspirational every single time. These hours to hour and a half are some of the best times for me as you inspire me, entertain me, and also make me laugh. I adore every one of your characters, with my favorite being Reginald, Don't Call Me Reggie. Maybe because he's a Brit like me. Right. Yes, Daniel. Yes, I agree completely. Okay. In addition, it's always wonderful to hear you talk so openly and positively about your faith. I, too, am a Christian Catholic as opposed to Lutheran, which I am Lutheran. But there are obviously some big similarities there. As I've grown older, I was having problems with my faith and my beliefs, as when you are raised a certain way, I think it's only natural to begin to question if that truly is right for you. However, hearing you speak so positively of your experiences of God and His kindness have really made me think a lot about how I want to live life. And it's reinstalled me with a new, renewed sense of purpose and faith. I want to thank you for that. It amazes me how someone so far away from me and where I am can have such a big impact on my life purely from just being kind and wanting to help people. I really cannot express enough how much your podcast means to me and how much I enjoy it. I take every chance to tell people about it, and I hope it has many, 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 many more episodes in the future. Can't wait for each and every one. I'm sorry for the rambling, but I hope that you eventually read my letter and are uplifted by having helped so many and someone else enjoy life so much. I try every day to see life in the same light as you. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel, thank you so much. I think that sums it up, because I think that sums up what I was trying to get to here in sharing with you all about my film, Sons and Daughters, which is going to be starting production soon, and my belief system and stuff. Again, never to be preachy, but just to say I have something in my life that is very exciting, and that is finding that God cares for me and takes care of me, and when I ask Him for help, He helps me. And that's not just instantaneous for everybody and everything, but it's just the way it is. I don't know. I don't know. I pray for every one of you. And I was so touched at Celebration by all of the folks that came up to me and said, thank you for the podcast. And then getting letters like Daniel's here. That's what this is supposed to be about. That's what life is supposed to be about. You know, Hollywood and politicians and everybody, they all just need to, look, I was going to say shut up, but that's negative. And I just don't even want to be negative about it. I pray for everybody. I pray for everybody that disagrees with me. I pray for everybody that dislikes me. I pray for everybody that doesn't think the way I think. And I don't pray, that they would just like me and think the way I think. I pray for them to have the best life possible. You know why? Because that's what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about being angry. And I've spent enough of my life being angry about things and getting upset about stuff, and we all do. And it's just not worth it. And we all will have bad days. I'll still have days where I get cut off on the freeway, and I'll be tempted to kind of go, razzamazza about that person that cut me off. But really, at the end of the day, while you're listening to this podcast, and what I really want from all of you is for you to find peace in your life and to get those moments. That's what this is supposed to be, as Daniel said. It's these moments to escape for a little while and to just not worry or think or fret about everything else, because worry will take care of itself. Think about things you were extremely worried about 5 years ago. And you may need to really think hard to even remember them now. And that's kind of the point. These worries that are hitting you today will not always be there. And love, that people that love you, friends that love you, that believe in you, and God's love, which is eternal, will never go away or pass. And those feelings of love should far outweigh those feelings of frustration and anger. So give it up for yourself, for your own good. Take some time. Close your eyes. You know what I'd ask each one of us to do after this podcast today? While you're still kind of in that zone of listening and stuff, and if you're not driving, take 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Do some of the JAT deep breathing. In for 4 seconds, hold for 8 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, blow out for 8 seconds. And think of nothing if you can. Try to picture a beautiful sunset. Try to picture the water crashing at the beach. Try to picture, space, whatever, something beautiful. And just take that time without anything going on. No, just quiet if you can. Then put on one of your favorite songs that really inspires you or chokes you up or gets you dancing or makes you happy. Then reach out to someone that has affected your life and tell them you love them. Okay? 5 minutes of time for yourself. Quiet, meditative time. Then put on something that makes you happy. And then reach out to someone that you love. And I'm going to challenge some of you. Maybe reach out to someone that you need to forgive. All right? Normally I end the show reading something as somebody, but you know what? We're at the 90-minute mark. Or pretty darn close to it, actually. So let's. I'm just grateful to be back home, and I'm happy to spend this time with all of you. So, Mr. Announcer Guy,
Yes, James?
do the whole legal mumbo jumbo.
All right, here we go. Talking to Myself, the James Arnold Taylor podcast is a production of Yumigo Inc., recorded at JAT Studios. Engineered, written, recorded, and produced by, you guessed it, James Arnold Taylor. All voices are parody and should be construed as entertainment only. All music and sound effects used with permissions and licenses through Backtracks, Digital Juice, Production Tracks, and Partners in Rhyme. James Arnold Taylor's Talking Myself, the podcast, copyright 2019, all rights reserved.
Somebody at my table, the line, said, read something. I wish you'd read your whole book, JAT 365, as Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. But I will read. I'll close this show out reading from my book, JAT 365. If you don't know it, it's 365 Daily Inspirations for the Pursuit of Your Dreams. It's JAT 365, James Arnold Taylor 365. It's a daily devotional. And I'll read day 176, which I just opened to. I just happened upon this one, but I think it's... you know what's funny is I think it's perfect. And see, you have now witnessed one of the little miracles, one of the little God winks that my friend Squire Rushnell talks about. Here I was saying all that stuff, and then I randomly opened to a page in my book, JAT 365, to read as Obi-Wan Kenobi to end the show. And this is what it is. Day 176. It's all a part of it. I know it's hard to be happy all the time. So remember, sadness, anger, and frustrations are a part of life as well. When you feel them, understand them, and look to the goal of putting them aside when they have run their course. Then, hold on to what brings you joy, and let go of the negative. Let it go. Or I should say, let it go. My friends, there are no mistakes in this life. And that's proof right there. And to me, that's a little God wink that God's saying, I'm here with you, James. And those of you that believe in him will say, yeah. And those of you that don't may go, whatever, you wrote a bunch of positive things. Of course, you're going to open to something that makes sense. But that particular line was exactly what I was saying beforehand. And I promise you, with all my heart, I did not plan that. Love you all. I believe in you all. Thanks for listening to the James Arnold Taylor podcast. We'll talk to you soon. Not next week, but the week after, because we're going every other week for now. I'll update you more. And thank you so much.
Bye-bye.